What's going on with Sukuna and Tengen? Let's talk about it, but manga spoilers beware. So first up, shout out to Lajins for requesting this video, and as always, let me move out the way for anybody that wants to pause and read this whole thing. But he's asking, was Tengen evolving into Sukuna? And then calls into question all of these parallels between them and certain panels, and we're going to talk all about this, but me personally, I don't believe Tengen was evolving into Sukuna, but I do think there's some really interesting connections there, and I don't know if I can draw any concrete conclusions at this point, but let's just still talk about all of it. Alright, so let's start with this page where Kenjaku walks in, sees Tengen, and just can't help but laugh due to the resemblance between Tengen and Sukuna. So, what's going on here, why this resemblance, and why point this out as far as Gege is concerned? It seems more than just a one-off joke, right? Especially including the little, flashback panel to Sukuna here. I don't think this was included for no reason, right? So what is the connection? What is the parallel that Gege wants us to draw from this? And I mean, the resemblance is pretty uncanny, right? They both have four eyes in basically the same spot, and they're both very curse-like. In Tengen's case, we know this is because of her curse technique, which makes her functionally immortal, but she basically is evolving into something beyond human, right? Which is why she needs to merge with the star plasmas, yada, yada, yada. That didn't happen, so Tengen has become more of this monster curse-type entity, right? Meanwhile, Sukuna, the king of curses, has also evolved past his own humanity. Now, we do pretty much know the reason for that. It hasn't been hard outlined, but presumably because he consumed his twin in the womb and got this kind of metamorphosis from that, right? So both characters are an evolution past humanity, which interestingly, I want to tie in the other of the big three here. That is Kenjaku's whole goal, right? He has been experimenting, trying to evolve cursed energy, probably largely inspired by these two. But what's with these parallels? Is there anything more concrete to point to, or is this just purely thematic? And I really like this theory that Lozenge brings up in the second half of his comment here on what if when Sukuna consumed his twin in the womb, that created a vengeful curse spirit. So the same way Yuta Okotsu created a vengeful curse spirit out of Rika, maybe Sukuna's twin did the same thing, right? And we know that Yuta had so much cursed energy, that's why Rika was so powerful, also created from love, right? What if the twin was the same situation? Because we know Sukuna has even more cursed energy than Yuta Okotsu. And due to their unique circumstance of being twins still in the womb and perhaps conjoined twins, maybe the vengeful cursed spirit merged with Sukuna instead of being a separate entity like Rika. So that would certainly provide even more clarification on why Sukuna looks the way he does. I don't think that has to be true. I think just the mere twin thing and, all of that jazz with Maki and Mai, I've talked about it in other videos, I think that could explain Sukuna without needing the vengeful spirit aspect, but I do like the vengeful spirit aspect. And if that's true, that's yet another parallel, right? In the same way that Sukuna is evolving away from humanity, kind of towards this curse-like entity, Sukuna would also be an embodiment of that. And again, citing back to the big three here of Kenjaku, Tengen, and Sukuna, this could explain where Kenjaku got all of this inspiration from. He literally could have been looking straight at this potential of merging humanity with curses and wanted to take it to the next level, right? We know this man spends the next 1,000 years literally experimenting with wombs and cursed spirits, which was basically the creation of Sukuna, right? Given the chaos that happened in his mother's womb. And continuing with this womb imagery, I mean, just look at this panel, right? We have Tengen in the fetal position in a very suggestive shape, right? And not the least of which is Kenjaku calling Tengen a friend in this panel. So, what was the relationship between these two and really between these three back in the Heian era? And there's just so many interesting parallels with wombs, and especially, now having confirmed that Sukuna was a twin and all of this evolution, if you will, presumably took place in a womb. And now, of course, everything has come full circle with Sukuna having consumed a womb like Tengen to potentially set off this next merger. There's so much there, but we don't have any direct confirmation on what it all is or means yet. Now, to come back around to the original question here, I don't think Tengen is evolving into Sukuna, but I do think there's a deeper connection, and I'm wondering if it could be that Tengen is Sukuna's mother. because I just feel like that would be very poetic and full circle. And I feel like it would make sense for some of the characterization as well. And of course, the resemblance, the family resemblance, if you will, both being, this kind of merger between humanity and curse potentially, but also just both being fantastic barrier users that are having kind of the opposite effect on the world. And maybe even in Tengen's case, there being this like secluded monk-like figure just doing the barriers, maintaining cursed energy for the good of Japan, almost as like recompense for what they unleashed upon the world. Tengen, I think, means heaven or divinity. Don't quote me on that, but like the name Tengen means something like that. And of course, Sukuna is the fallen one, right? So there is an interesting parallel there as well between like God and the devil, if you will, which, God created the devil, Tengen created Sukuna. So I could see something like that. And it would also explain why Tengen never really proactively did anything to like help against Sukuna. And it might be like, hey, you're not gonna like actively destroy them, but I won't help them either. And maybe that's because of like a mother's love type of thing. This could also explain why Sukuna's mummified corpse was kept in the holiest, most protected place right alongside Tengen, because it's her son. But it doesn't have to be. It might just be that this is a very powerful and evil artifact that needed to be, protected and kept out of the wrong hands. But what I'll say is they weren't keeping the Sukuna fingers that they had here, just the corpse. So if it was just based on like the power or the threat it represented, why wouldn't they put all of the fingers here as well? So yeah, this is all purely conjecture on my part. I'd take it with a massive grain of salt, but I do feel like it at least makes sense, right? It passes the sniff test, in my opinion, but we definitely need more evidence. Another interesting thing to think about is, he says, you look like, but then gets cut off and we see Sukuna. Could Kenjaku have been about to say, your son? All right, I'm going to quit yapping about this for now, but please hit me in the comments with your thoughts and theories on this, because I think this is a really interesting subject and I would love to hear them. But before we get out of here today, I'm going to handle a few more questions from Jojo here, who wanted to know my thoughts on different slanders and agendas in the community, and then also specifically on the recent Yuta Okotsu slander in our Discord, which join the Discord, by the way. So in general, slanders and agendas, I think this is all fun. It's all a part of being in a community like this. You guys know I'm a big proponent of the Gojo is coming back agenda, and I get slandered for that all the time. So, it's just fun. I love to hear people's theories and thoughts on certain things, and I think that's what this is all about. However, when it reaches a level of like people getting in like heated arguments and like not just like freaking out when people don't agree with them, that's when you need to go outside and touch grass, So I'm all for it as long as it's like healthy and fun. But when it goes past that, it's just ridiculous, And then as far as the thoughts on the recent Okotsu slander, I did check this out. And, I don't really know what to say other than that's ridiculous as well. They were clowning on our boy Okotsu, like this panel right here. Yuta Okotsu is top 5 in the verse, all right? And, he's taken down almost everybody, in my opinion, especially if we're taking on current Yuta Okotsu. So, they hate you when you're at the top, so it doesn't surprise me that they're out here slandering him. But, our boy's got game. He's going to be fine. Next we got, do I think Hikari is lightning speed? You guys know I'm not a power scaler. I don't know. He fought Kashimo, right? And certain of Kashimo's attacks are lightning speed, I guess, but he didn't really dodge them. So I don't know. I guess no. This isn't my wheelhouse, but I'm interested to hear what the consensus is from the power scalers here. And then finally, for have I read or seen JoJo? I have only seen part 1, which I've heard like unanimously is the worst part. So I know I need to get back into it, but I just got like so many series on my plate right now that I don't know when I will, but I will at some point. Alrighty, y'all, that's going to do it for this one. Again, come join us in the Discord. It may be break week, but we keep it fun. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.